Good morning and welcome back. It's been a while since I've been on here. I've been pretty focused on trying to get some work done on this thing. But I got probably a short, quick video for you today. Almost wasn't even going to do it, but there's going to be some bead roller, some shrinker stretcher in this video due to the fact of what I'm doing. So what I got here is my electrical panel, trying to hide all of my wiring in the trunk, right? With that, I made this panel right here. This panel is gonna fold up and hide everything, but I need something, I need a backstop to stop it. So with it folded up, that's what it looks like. All the wires, everything's hidden. And now if you ever need to do maintenance, easy access, get right into it. So I'm gonna put some backstops right here. So I took profile gauge, set it up in here, got my profile that I needed, and then transferred that to cardboard, made a cardboard template, and then made a panel for it. I made two of them, opposite of each other. They're the same exact thing. They're identical. Just flip one for the opposite side. Now, where this is going to get tricky is I'm going to bend these over. I'm going to make these flanges to give this panel some rigidity. I'm going to bend this over and flange this. So this one's in here. It's got this gap right here, but I'm going to bend this over. I'm going to bend this, make it a flange. So that's going to go in, and then I'm going to bend this one just to give it some more strength and rigidity, and make it look a little bit better. But there's gonna be I'm gonna bend this, and I'm gonna have to stretch this inner curve out, and then bending this one I'm probably gonna have to shrink on here, and then use some hammer and dolly work to finesse it and make it go the way it's got to go. But I'm gonna go over to the bead roller, get it set up, and we'll start bending these things. Okay, so I'm over at the Lazy bead roller. I have it set up. I got the tipping guy on there. If you can see, you probably can't see it in the video, but this die right here has got a sharp edge, and it's got a slight taper. It tapers backwards. So with these dies, the bolts are flush on the front, so I can bend 90 degrees up and bend a 90-degree flange. Now these panels, this one goes into the car like this, and this needs to go that way, needs to bend back. So I need my line, when I'm coming through here, I'm going to be pushing up. So I need to transfer this line to the back. See. No, I'm making half-inch flanges. So what I did was I took some half-inch masking tape and put it on here. Now I'm going to take a blue Sharpie, fine point Sharpie, and I'm gonna follow this tape to get my line. And then I'm gonna remove the tape. I'm gonna do it on both. I'm building both panels at once so they come out evenly. It's a lot easier to build two panels at once and make them match than it is to build one and then try and match the opposite side. If you build them both at the same time, chances are they're gonna come together a lot. They're gonna look a lot similar. Okay. Now, since this is an inside curve, I can't use the backstop. When I do this curve, the outside one, I'll be able to use the backstop. But for now, I just have to follow my line, and that is why I want a fine tip line, because my margin of error is a lot smaller versus if I use the regular Sharpie. That line is a lot thicker than this one. So my margin of error is a lot wider on this one. I'm trying to keep it, I can try and keep it on one edge of the line, vice versa, or back and forth right down the middle, but my margin, since the line is wider, my margin of error is bigger. With a fine point, I'm trying to keep it on one side of the line or right in the middle or whatever. The margin of error is less because you have less, smaller line. So I'm going to try and stay on that line and bend that flange up. Okay, when you're doing this, you don't need a super bright light because of the reflection. You just need some light down here. So now I'm gonna put this on here. This light ain't gonna work right there. Maybe right there. I'm gonna follow this line and then I'm gonna put constant pressure up to try and bend this flange. There, I'm touching, I'm noticing where my blue tape is, and I'm going to go half a turn this first one just to mark it, and then I will start bending. Turn the speed down a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna start bending. I'm gonna crank it down a little bit more. Add another half turn or so. And start bending up. See, there's the first bend, and you can see it's starting to wrinkle right there. I'm going to go one more time, and then I'm going to have to put it on the shrinker stretcher. Alright, I don't know if you can see, but it's not flat no more. So as it's pulling this way, it's pulling metal from here. So I'm going to try and stretch this out with a kick shrinker or stretcher. Stretch that out a little bit, flatten that back out. Just a little bit. I was barely doing that. Now back over. Alright, that one's ready for hammer and dolly. But you see, it's just back and forth a couple times through there, and I got it bent over. My bead roller is on casters, so it moves. So I had to lock it down because I had to put a little bit of pressure on it. When you're bending, you're putting pressure on it. But you can see that's fairly flat, not too bad. I think once I do the hammer and dolly, it'll get a little bit better. But let's try the next one. Okay, over at the hammer and dolly, I'm just gonna use a toe dolly because it's got a sharp 90-degree bend. I'm just gonna go along here and tap this to 90 degrees. Now this has a, so this is not straight, as you can see. It comes in right there. That's because that's the way the fender well is. I'm trying to match it up to the fender well as best as possible, and the fender well has got a little bit of comes out a little bit. But if you can look down it, there's a high spot right in here. So I'm gonna go to the shrinker, the kick shrinker, stretch this out a little bit more, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I put in the kick stretchers a little bit more. It's a lot more flat, straighter, almost good. Let's do a little bit more hammer and dolly on it. Use my linear stretch die in this curve because it needs to be stretched out a little bit. So it's stretching the metal right here. So that's why I'm going to use this die, or this hammer, right on this inner curve. If I can hold it up. There we go. That's looking good. Alrighty, that one's ready to go test on the car. But let's work this one. And you can see I'm not hammering down. I'm literally just light hits. There we go. That one looks good. All right, let's go. Lined up, even. Look at that, nice and even. Let's go test them out on the car. Alrighty, that's passenger side. This is driver's side. Look at that. Fits pretty good. More of a gap than I'd like. All right, so if you can see, there's a gap there, and it's because of this line, this body line right here comes in there. That's holding it out. If I can somehow indent that, I think that thing will slide in and be a lot closer. But how do you do that? I don't know. I'm gonna figure that out. I might end up just notching it and marking it and notching it and see if I can get it to fit in there a little bit better. Okay, it's fitting a lot better now. A lot better. What I ended up doing was I took it to that mirror braid and ground out a notch with a 1-inch roller, and then I ended up moving this flange in just a little bit right up here and right here, and now it's fitting way nicer. And I have it on a magnet to make sure that it's 90 degrees because that's where I want it, straight up and down. And that's gonna fit and work nice. Okay, I got both of them fitting pretty well up along the wheel well. So now I'm gonna go set the bead roller up and set the guide, and we're gonna bend the outside flange on both of them and get them in there. And like I said before, we had to stretch inside here. Out here I'm gonna have to shrink to pull that in a little bit, because there's gonna, as I bend it over, there's gonna be too much material up here. There's too much material to go in like that to bend it, so we're gonna have to do a lot of shrinking in here along this edge to get that to bend over and go to 90 degrees. So I'm gonna go get the bead roller set up, get the shrinker dies swapped out to the, or get the stretcher dies swapped out to the shrink dies, and then we'll come back. All right, back over with the bead roller. So I got the backstop set up because we're doing an outside curve, right? So I can follow along this thing and just follow the curve, follow the backstop. So this is a little bit wider than a 1/2 inch. This is about 11/16 inch wide. So the thing is going to, my flange is going to be a little bit wider, but I think it'll be all right. So just like before, all right, turn it on. Just like before, I'm going to go through it one time, keeping pressure as I'm watching this go in. I'm keeping pressure. My eye is right here, keeping pressure on the backstop. All right, I'll loosen it up a little bit so it's easier to go. Now I'm going to start applying pressure, steady pressure. Keeping my eye as it feeds in. This one's going to be a little bit tougher to bend. I don't have a whole lot of leverage on this thing because it's a small piece. And it's 18 gauge steel. I probably could have done this in 20 gauge, but I don't have any. Alright, so it's starting to go over, but I'm already starting to have problems over here, so I'm going to shrink this edge down. See, just that shrinking brought that edge down a little bit. Alright, that's about as far as I can go with this one. It needs to go over to the hammer and dolly and finish this off. But I'm going to do the other one first. Alright, I'm back with the hammer and dolly. It's the same technique as before. Except for this one, I got an outer curve, so I can use this radius right here on this. And that's going to help a lot. But you know, I might have to come up like this because this can't come in here all the way, but same thing, same process. Now I'm gonna have to go back in and shrink this some more. I might end up actually having to cut this and bring it in and then weld it back up. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna keep working it and see if I can get it. All right, time to go back over to the shrinker. I'm just gonna go over to the kick shrinker and shrink these up, and then come back and try and hammer it some more. All right, so with a lot of hammer and dolly work and shrinking, I ended up trimming some material off. I've got these pieces in here. I do have to add a little bit of a filler piece, but that's how that will go, and it'll close that off, and that'll look finished off. So both of these are ready to be welded in, but like I said, I had to trim some off of here. I trimmed some off around the corner. There's just too much material, and I couldn't get in there with the shrinker dies too much because it's such a sharp radius. But I was able to beat it over and get it done. I used a toe dolly mainly. I mainly just used the toe dolly, but I also used a solid piece of aluminum, round aluminum that I had. So I had this piece right here, and I put it on here and then tapped it around, and it fits like this fits in here pretty well, pretty close. So it worked out pretty good. But like I said, that's it's quite a bit of material. I didn't slice it, didn't weld it up. I just beat it into submission with hammer and dollies. So there it is. I'll sand it up, weld those pieces on there, those filler pieces, and then weld these in, and that job will be finished finally. And then I'll be able to mount, drill some. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. If I want to put some screws in these, some fasteners to hold it up. I don't know if I'm going to put some fasteners in this to hold it up or not. I was thinking really strong magnets, but I think that'll probably fall down. So I'll probably end up doing a couple fasteners up top, just to make it stay up there. But it's coming together. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, notifications button. Try and get some more content out for you guys. All right, till next time.